has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth. But we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is still technically the 26th. Probably only for a few more seconds. I knew I was going to have a later start tonight, but I probably wasn't expecting so much of a late start. And that will probably mean a shorter cast. Of course, I always... promises. I always say that and very rarely follow through, but I don't think people complain too much about longer streams. Well, they complain... Depends on the content. There are definitely some times when people have had very likely justifiable mistakes, or not mistakes, justifiable complaints with the length of the stream or the what is filling it up. But for those of you who like this sort of thing, I will be here. I will do my best for the time. But if you are accustomed, especially with all of the Imperator stuff...
You answered the letter.
Yes, I forgot.
Now, like me, you are a part of this place.
But yeah, let's... no promises for duration. I will try to do my best for the time, but no... I think one of the things that... So I put out a tweet, or maybe just... As a quick little bit of housekeeping and explanation. I did put out a tweet saying that I would stream tonight. I think if I didn't do that, I probably would not... I probably wouldn't have actually streamed. But yeah, I'm not sad that I did it. I definitely am just feeling like I need a little bit of a recharge after all of the time that I put into into Imperator. So the hope is that this game will be a good little bit of relaxation for me. And I believe I actually had a crew ready to go. So this, Dismas Sergi, Johnny Big Time, and Ed Baver is not a bad group to have together, especially with a mind to trying to take on the Baron. The other alternative I have available to me is to try and take out one of the bosses, because we've got to... I actually don't remember these bosses that well either. But probably the smartest move for me right now. So Johnny's craving... Zerge is not. Casual Nothing is craving. Nobody else has it. So long seems to be tempting fate. Essentially what I am trying to do is get my team in a place where they can take on the Baron. So with that in mind, a wheeled run yeah, wheeled run, it's short. It's complete 100% of room battles, so these guys might be a little high on stress. But let's run with that. And before I go too far, I'll just make sure everybody's set up. I think I'm okay with the Grape Shot Blast. I might resist spending on any other skills for now. But we'll at least bring people up to speed. I'm going to be spending quite a bit. I think I will leave it at that for now. These are probably a little more important for me at the moment. Nope. Yeah, so I'm short on coin, but we should get some for our run. Yeah, and I think, so the thing that really worries me is what the Baron is going to wind up being like. It's, you know, there's any number of things that could potentially go. Again, these are like brand new bosses. I've never seen them before when it comes to the case of the Crimson Court content, so I'm going to need to think a little bit. It's actually one of the reasons why I'm bringing such a diversity. Oh, can I replace Dismas with somebody? I don't have a good position to who's close to leveling. Well, you know what, I think I'll just live with that. But yeah, so the plan here is just, I want to try and make some progress, especially because the infestation is up, and I'm not quite sure how I get rid of that. But I also remember the last time we did a Crimson Court segment, we definitely got... we definitely had a tough time of it. So I want to kind of come loaded for bear if I can. And one of the drawbacks I'm going to run into is once I start dealing with higher level bosses, I might actually be leveling out some of these people before they're ready. But we'll deal with that when the time comes. For now, we'll go to the Weald. It should hopefully be short. I mean, this team is reasonably good at sustaining itself. I'm going to risk it and just bring 2. Yeah, we'll run with this, and hopefully before the end of tonight we will we'll have a good boss battle. But for now, it's going to be part of this is just going to be me, you know, not just ticking a box. Like, obviously, I wanted to take it easy tonight, but I don't just stream to tick a box. So I'm hoping to have a good time with this. But I also I'm keeping my expectations low and trying to let the game draw me in.
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
So we'll start by giving Johnny... That was a little premature, probably. Okay. Kaya LB, thank you very much for the host. And Dreamslayer0 says, you have the Crimson Court expansion, but you don't have the nerve to play it yet. So I will definitely say this playthrough, so I've not beaten the game. How you doing, Kyle LB? Thank you very much for your host. Just a quick word, by the way. For some reason, when the game switches between screens, it does become small and in the bottom left-hand corner. If I take a screenshot, it resets, but I sometimes forget to do that, so don't hesitate to let me know if it seems like I've forgotten it. But yeah, Dreamslayer, I was not a stranger to Darkest Dungeon. the Crimson Court, I think, has this reputation for being just like unwinnable. It's maybe a little, that's maybe pushing it a little too far, but it is definitely a step up in difficulty. But the thing is, like, this game is already so good at coming up with that division between giving you a challenge but not completely, like, not making you regret opening the game.
Executed with impunity.
I would encourage you to try it, even if you just open up a new save or something like that. I have had a very good time with the Crimson Court content, and I kind of regret not spending more time with it. The Eyes of Sin, how are you doing? I'm always happy to see you in chat. I hope you are feeling well. I'm glad that you got a little bit of a nap in. I was also very glad
blazing star is born.
you got an early start to the day. I hope it was a productive and enjoyable one. Let me just take a second to sneeze. Yeah, Dreamslayer, I mean, the money is a sunk cost, but I think whether it's your main playthrough or whether it's another one, give it an open, take a look. You're going to have horrible surprises, and it's going to be a ton of fun, and cut loose. Allow yourself this pleasure. All right, in the meantime, let's go for Sick Time.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
So the challenge is some of these folks can get the Crimson Curse still. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to inflict the... I know I'm not going to be able to take someone out, so what I'm going to do here is we'll try and get the bleed on as many people as we can, and then we'll use some of the heavier hits to
well struck.
To bring us bring this thing home. I am, however, going to do... that probably could have been better. Missed. I'm worried. The game seems to be having real mercy on me. I'm going to go for a risky play here. We're going to take the dog and hit the back row, and my hope is that I'm going to be able to deal damage on these two. Do Judgment on the back row as well. So I was really hoping that we'd get the Crusader up first, but in this case it'll be Grape Shot to spread out the damage, and then we'll do a Zealous Accusation to finish him off. Alright, now we're getting some of that that bad luck.
Their formation is
so it paid off.
Maintain the offensive.
I'm kind of hoping I don't kill this guy until I can get some heals on Johnny. Looks like they're doing 6 damage around with 3 health, so with any luck we'll be able to do a Lick Wounds, and then follow up with the Vestal healing. Hey, Fortune Smiles.
The wounds of war can be healed, but never hidden.
Alright. Now we know why it was unlocked. I don't really have a good plan for all of this. I know I need to do... I know I need to do 100% of room battles, so I might as well fight them when I have the light. Tall Man Alive coming in for 1 quarter. How are you doing? I hear you kind of like games like this. Just a rumor that's going around. Thank you very much for putting down some of your hard-earned money some to me, some to an Amazon subsidiary, which I don't know about you, but I hear that Amazon is definitely hurting for the money. I hope you are doing well. Again, thank you very much for your continued support. Do feel free to spam as many emotes as you like or want inside of chat, because Sin worked very hard on them, and I am. If she is not proud of them, I am definitely proud of them on her behalf.
A fortune.
Cool.
Waiting to be spent.
Alright, this usually does not bode well, so let's, looks like, yeah. It would be really interesting to throw some of the blood on it. We'll leave it be. Anyways, I hope you're doing well. It is indeed not Rome. It is the Rome of strategy games. It's the other popular game that I play. I think I'm gonna try focusing him down before I do anything too fancy. Although the Hound's Harry inflicts bleed, so I'll at least do one of those. I really should have focused on the Gatekeeper because of the stress damage. I want to keep these guys alive for the next round. How much does he have? He has 7. I think I'm gonna do this. Well, no.
As the fiend falls,
I kind of figured I'd overdo it in terms of damage. Oh! Another Crimson Curse. Yeah, so the plan was to just try and remove a source of damage, but of course every time that a Crimson Curse character is able to... Ooh, okay.
Drawing uncertainty, the birthplace of dread. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
They're gorging themselves on Johnny. What am I gonna do? You tried to recruit your brother-in-law into Cultist Simulator and you may have succeeded. That is lovely news. Especially because... I mean, as far as my content is concerned... I mean, that wasn't all that bad of an event to have happen. I'm going to focus on taking out enemies first. But yeah, obviously in terms of my own stuff, I'm in between runs, so I love that process of starting anew. It reminds me of when I first picked up Cultist Simulator. I really like the taste of Johnny. Great, thank you, Tall Man Alive. I am nothing if not vain. Alright, that took a lot more than it was supposed to.
Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Okay, so the fungal battery gets the priority, even though there's a stress generator in the back row. They have 8? Yeah, they got it. Holy smokes. But they've got bleed, which is great. Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to deal with the Cultist Enchantress here, so it's pretty unlikely I'm going to be able to stun this guy. But we'll try. Well, there you have it. I get to focus on stacking up the bleed on this guy now.
A death by inches.
Oh, and apparently I did not realize that the cultists could mark. Okay, I gotta get the ticking damage on the giant, otherwise he's gonna whack me with the tree branch and I will be sad. Let's distribute some heals. The Houndmaster's able to heal themselves, so I'll make that a secondary consideration. And in this case, it makes sense to do the most damage because Zealous Accusation's just gonna focus now. So, I could try and go for another stun, but... Ooh. In this case, Johnny gets the love. But yeah, in this case, just as much ticking damage as I can on the giant, hopefully before he causes too much trouble. I think I'll do the Harry again, just so he can do some ticking damage on the cultists as well. And... nice. I think the Tree Badge Smackdown has a low chance to hit, but it hits like a truck. Oof. 24 set.
The ground quakes.
That's some nice poison resistance there, Johnny.
A victory. Perhaps the turning point.
Okay, that wasn't too bad at all. Deteriorating Bracer, plus 10 dodge if your HP is above 75, and minus 6 dodge if your HP is below. I think everybody's kitted out, so let's say... no whole... oh, hang on, we can get rid of the food. It's always nice to get the goodies. So this is why I bring
Nature
2
herself,
shovels from now on.
A victim to the spreading corruption. Malformed with missing.
I do want to make sure that... actually, you know what? I think everyone here is now at a flat level of Crimson Curse. So I'm going to keep the blood if I can. Ah, oh, damn it. Actually... the dog treats are wonderful, but I want to see what happens when I put holy water on the cocoon. No effect. Can't do the shovel, unfortunately. But I do have spare blood now, so no effect. I think at this point I'm going to have to try and take out the gatekeeper in the back if I can. Ed Daver, you're letting us down.
How quickly the tide turns.
Nothing I can do about the gatekeeper here, so in this case I'll just oof. So one of the reasons I'm avoiding hitting the sycophants if I can is their ability to heal. So unless I can actually seal it, unless I can seal the deal with them, I prioritize the people who have less regular healing patterns. Okay, I was hoping to buy myself a bit of ticking time, but we'll rush it. So now we can focus down on each of these targets. So the rest of the moves are going to be focusing on... well, actually it doesn't matter now because I was going to try and prevent the damage from the the other fellow, but now we're just gonna hit people with things. Okay, because he's stunned, I'm now gonna focus this guy down. And again, it's mostly just trying to reduce the number of sources of damage. Alright. I was kind of hoping to get a heal in if I could, but... Ooh, now I need to really make some decisions.
But a victory nonetheless.
Okay, my lowest quality stuff. Definitely want the portraits. The citrines I can let go. The bust. Because the thing is, I do kind of need the money too. So this is worth 500. These are worth 750 each. I'm gonna hate myself for doing this.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
Okay, if I can turn this into an opportunity to heal, I will, but focus down the big guy first. Ed Baver will obviously do their standard Vestal roll. This won't be particular. The original plan was to try and keep these guys from getting too much stress, so I could move straight to the Baron. But it's pretty clear I'm going to have to do some healing. Or not healing, stress reduction.
Unnerved, unbalanced.
And Johnny's tested. Hound comes first, then me, then you. I actually think that's real life Johnny. Right. I've kind of let Dismas be neglected by the heals for too long. I need a favor to... Oh, I got lucky there. Ooh, okay. Game's definitely been pretty kind as far as rolls are concerned tonight. So this guy should go down. We can focus on Mr. Shank, and then
the bigger the beast. The
actually,
greater the
Zealous
glory.
Accusation might seal the matter here. So we know this guy's gone next round. The ideal, of course, is that if everybody's able to do other actions. Here we'll just waste the move. Okay.
Slowly.
I wanted to waste the move.
This is how a life is taken.
I dropped the Onyx. Well, nothing I can do about that now. So, yeah, the plan was I wanted to try and heal everyone up before that guy ticked down, but Jesus, all right. Well, the good news is that the torch isn't going to go down as rapidly. Previously, I might have tried to check out this cure. Well, yeah, I don't think I want to check out the Curia, just gonna get low on torches. This will probably be the last battle, though, so as long as I manage myself reasonably well, I should be able to see it through. You deserved that, Johnny. Alright, so we got 2 fights coming up. Number 1, easy. If I can, this will be a great opportunity to heal up the front row.
Grievous injury.
Oof.
Palpable fear. Injury and despondence set the stage for heroism or cowardice. abomination, cleansed from our lands.
I feel a lot better if I had more health for this, but good news is we have food, and I'm only going to need 4 of it at most, so... And... Justice reigns from above. I want to try and take out the marker if I can. How you doing, Ed Vapor? Sorry, I'm losing track on who I've greeted so far, but it's been an adventure with you as a healer tonight. Johnny's resilient though. Oh, this is gonna hurt. Okay, confusion spores I can live with.
Exposed to a killing blow.
Oof! Maybe not.
Those
Hello,
who
Sungif.
injury find it in no short supply.
I have a zebra story for you.
Great is the weapon that cuts
I'll
on
wait.
its
I'll
own.
wait for this one to. I'll wait for this to wrap up, and then I can deliver. Okay, priorities. I'm gonna heal up Johnny.
Vigor is restored.
Ah, he can pounce Harry, so. That's what I was trying to avoid.
As life ebbs, terrible vistas of emptiness reveal
In this particular
themselves.
case, I'm gonna... Now, the problem here is I'm going to be dividing my attention between maintaining the party while they're not in a good position to do damage. So this might just be a very slow death that I'm setting everyone up for.
Soothed, sedated.
Alright. I'm sorry to hear you're in need of this story, but I'm very happy to deliver one for you, so... Thank God. Alright. So because there aren't any immediate needs, I am going to use Zergy to move up. We kind of already know everybody's going to be healing, so there's really no avoiding it at this point. We're definitely doing some pretty respectable bleed damage on him, but... Move you up one. That's what the armor's for. Still not enough to kill him.
The will to fight. Forward.
That'll be enough. Okay.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Ooh, I'm sorry to hear that.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
So the thing is, we know that there aren't enemies in this back room. Debatable that I want to take this on, though. That's why I left the 4 food. And I'd love the Defender Seal. The question is if it's worth it. Alright. I'd say that's a good day's work.
The agents of pestilence will yet be driven from our woods.
So the one thing I was hoping to avoid that I failed to was the stress damage. It's obviously going to delay us on going after the Baron, but that's fine. It'll just mean there's other opportunities for us to mess around with the enemies. So it looked like Dismas was just shy of what we needed. Okay, Captain Zerge is now has deviant tastes and is a slugger. I actually like this. 10% melee skills is pretty solid. Does everybody else find that the game's too loud? I actually don't see it that much louder than my other things. Is this a consensus view in chat though? Meditator improves stress reduction while meditating while camping. Befits. Pyromania. Yeah, I mean, as far as my levels...
They arrive with the east wind, a torrent of whirling doom.
I mean, when I take a look at my voice, I basically leave the upper register in terms of the volume. So there's a bunch of, if you've ever seen OBS, there's a bunch of bars on the, there's a bunch of bars on the screen which kind of indicate different volume levels. I leave the last segment open for times where I get a bit loud. And then the video game that I'm playing usually is on the halfway mark. So that's kind of what that's what I'm seeing in OBS right now. I might review it after the stream, but Metagaming TV, great to see you. Obviously, this is a little bit different from Imperator Rome, but let me just take a quick minute here and shout out. Metagaming TV was kind enough to give me a host while we were doing a very big Imperator Rome run. We're doing a little something for relaxation now. I don't know, it's the least I can do. Definitely, for those of you disappointed that I'm not playing grand strategy games, check them out. How are you finding the full release, by the way? Because I know, as is the case with a lot of Paradox stuff, I think some people had higher expectations than maybe they should have, and there seems to be a bunch of disappointed people in, like, the comments, but the overall sales for the game and the people who are playing it seem to be rather content. So I'm really not sure how to read that. But I'm curious how you all feel about the game. All right, I'd love to do the Adder's Kiss, but I really only have room for one more companion. So Sharps had a night on the town, recovered 70 stress, is no longer abusive. Sin underwent effective disease treatment and cured the egg. Periville underwent effective disease treatment and cured syphilis. Alright, let's get some people... Okay, so we'll get rid of the fits for Dismas. One of the things I'd like to do is focus on healing the people with the blood curse. Now... Ah, damn it. So Johnny has a love interest, which means that the other people with the curse can't really cure... Oh, actually, that's fine. Ed Baver... will also meditate. Johnny Big Time will visit the brothel, but it's got to be the only one. It's 6:35 a.m. here, just woke up, went for 1 or 2 beers after school yesterday, 7 hours later, gets home and just pass out. Sounds like a good day. Oh, haven't played it. Well, that answers the question. Then I was curious what the thoughts were on the release version. That's all. I think we were looking for a new leper, if memory serves. Let's just take a quick look here. I should probably do it by my... Who is that? L. Dolby 10, thank you very much for the 100 bits. Or sorry, it looks like 110 bits. I don't believe I've seen you before, though, so that's unexpected and welcome. No requirements to be in the game. If you can just give me a minute here, Kaya LB, I will gladly put you in the game. But what I would like to do is, Sungif asked me to do a story about zebras. So I'm going to take the opportunity now to make good on that, because it sounds like it was a bit of a rough day. So if I can make somebody happy, that'll make me happy. Let me just find it. The thing I was looking forward for version 1.0 is enabling the it's enabling the modding tools. So I'm personally looking forward to that as well. All right. So I will get around to adding. I'll get around to adding people inside the game here, but I went looking for zebra stories, and there's a website which has a bunch of Kenyan stories, particularly about how the zebra gains its stripes. And I thought these were sufficiently charming. There's actually, I believe there are 3 legends on this page, so this is just from a website called Safari Center, and I thought that these were short enough to be not too distracting from the stream, but substantive enough to make Sungif happy. So I'm gonna shut up about the fact that I'm not streaming at the moment. We'll go through these, and hopefully this is entertaining for everyone. Zebra against the baboon. Long ago, animals were new in Africa. The weather was dry and hot, and water was scarce. The little water remained was in a few watering holes. One such small hole during those times of drought was guarded by a boisterous and arrogant baboon. It forbade any of the animals from drinking at his pool, because he self-appointed himself as Lord of the Water. At night, the baboon struck a fireplace for warmth by the waterhole and chased off others. African legend has it that one evening a zebra and his son came to have a drink of water after a journey. The baboon was sitting next to the waterhole by his fire. In those days, zebras didn't have their stripes. They wore coats of white fur. On seeing the zebras, the baboon barked, "Go away! This is my pool and the water is mine!" The thirsty zebras looked up and saw the angry baboon. The son shouted back. The infuriated baboon challenged them in a fine fury. "And you must fight for the water if you want to drink," and attacked the young zebra. In a moment, a struggle ensued. They were locked in combat, and the two fought savagely for what seemed like an eternity. Tempers flared. Back and forth they went fighting, until at last the zebra kicked the baboon powerfully. The baboon landed amongst the rocks of a cliff behind the waterhole. He landed smack on his seat with a mighty thud, taking the bottom hair clean off, and to this day the baboon has a bare patch on his bottom where he landed. The baboon still continues to live high up amongst the rocks, nursing his bald patch on his backside where he landed. They spend their days challenging intruders and barking in defiance at all strangers. And when they walk around, they still hold their tails aloft because of the pain of the bare patch on their bottoms where they landed. The terrified zebra was all tired and bruised after kicking the baboon so hard. Not looking where he was going, the zebra tripped on the fireplace and sent burning embers flying into the air. Some of them fell on the zebra's white coat. That left him with black marks across his white fur. And that is how the zebra came to get its stripes. The injuries and shock sent the zebra galloping and dashing away back to the savannah, where it has lived ever since. He did come to like his stripes, as they gave him a distinguished look. Although, by the way, Sungif, thank you very much for continuing that gift sub, and CKY2 Kenadal was the original gifter of the sub, so thank you to both of you for that. And Metagaming offers, you're not surprised they got a mixed review on Steam, because a lot of people really don't know what type of game they are getting with Imperator Rome, and therefore will be disappointed in what it actually is. while those who played the previous titles at least know what type of gameplay to expect. Meanwhile, it is different than previous titles with a balance between nation management, character interaction and management, and waging war and painting the world map. I think that's a very fair assessment of what happened. I didn't want to be too down on the possibility, just because I think inevitably the gamers are going to be mad at everything. That's a bad way of putting it, but like I always have a feeling that people's disappointed reactions will be very temporary. And as I'm fond of saying, 6 months, a year from now, we're all going to be wondering how we played Imperator version 1.0. But yeah, there's two other accounts for how the zebra might have gotten its stripes. There's one, which was that long ago, the zebras in the jungle had no stripes and turtles had no shell. One day, a monkey who got fed up of hanging down a tree all day long like a chandelier, apparently they had chandeliers in Africa back then though, gingerly crept up to the zebra and asked him to join him on a treasure hunt. On the way, they met a shellless turtle who joined the other two on the expedition. Soon, all three animals reached a dark cave. They crept through it and reached an open light area that was full of mosaic pieces in black bags. The monkey stuck the mosaic pieces on a hat and placed it on the turtle's body. The turtle looked beautiful with the mosaic pieces on its back, and it cried in joy. Then the cheeky monkey turned on the zebra and requested it to wear the pair of black bags on its back. It did so, and immediately stripes of black laid on its beautiful white fur. The zebra cried in happiness for making him unique. The zebra and the turtle went back to their friends and told them to follow suit with all that they did, and this is how their zebras got their beautiful black and white stripes, and how turtles got their hard and mosaic-like shells. I think the next one's going to be another short one like that. I think the first one was a little bit better. Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm predisposed to really liking games anyway, and I would not have played Imperator as much as I did if I didn't enjoy the game. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable entry. The only thing that I would say, of course, is because the other Paradox games have multiple years of development in them now, the substitutes that you have for Imperator are very compelling. Like Europa Universalis is a very fun game, Crusader Kings is a very fun game, Stellaris is a very fun game. And so, obviously, the more grand strategy titles that Paradox releases, it essentially becomes a little bit harder to launch one, it sort of seems, because we always know that the first version is always going to be the worst version. But they still do it. I mean, this is the thing, for all people want to talk about disappointment, and I think, again, that's more about an individual taste rather than a broad statement about the game. I do think that, that game was #1 on Steam for a reason. I think it's an incredibly well done game, and I would be perfectly happy if that is the direction that future Paradox games wind up going. Obviously, I'll be happy to see more inside of it. Everybody always benefits from more. But if they were to make, say, a Crusader Kings 3 and it resembled Imperator with maybe a little bit more on the character, the character side, I think that would be a very respectable title. So, hey, Kicknick, good to see you. Obviously, we're in Darkest Dungeon. I'm reading some zebra stories for Sungif because he likes zebra stories and had to take some pain medication this morning. So I figured we'd make somebody a bit happy. So the zebras painted themselves. There is yet another zebra mythology about how they got their stripes. Many years ago, they were not black and white. They were just born white and beautiful. People at this time were trying to domesticate wild zebras to show them off, but it was tough to train one. One day, a zebra which was very young ran off into the village. People started to whisper about how they would catch him. A zebra became alarmed when it realized what they were trying to do, and so he began to run, and the people of the village chased after him. He ran, and in the end, he had an idea. The full zebra found some black paint. It tipped the paint out of the pot, and it splattered out into wavy lines. The zebra rolled in it, and the black stripes covered his body. He did this to make himself look ugly. The people finally found him and saw what he had done to himself. The young zebra didn't look pretty anymore because he had black stripes over him. Thus, the smart zebra was able to free himself and run off into the jungle. Soon all zebras did the same, so that people would leave them alone. Gradually, they didn't need to go through the black paint ritual. Zebras started to be born with black and white stripes, except that they were beautiful. And those were your zebra stories courtesy of Sungif. Ed Baber says your income does not allow you to keep buying Paradox titles. Paradox titles are what you spend the majority of your free cash on. Yeah, that's a big motivator too. Like, the thing is, like, I don't really feel that people need to be completionists on those kinds of games, because the fact of the matter is you put hundreds of hours in them. I'm, like, in terms of the stream, I've focused now, there's essentially 3 Paradox games that I play regularly. Crusader Kings, Stellaris, and Imperator now. Now that doesn't mean that I won't play other ones, but those are the ones that even at this level, it becomes a bit of a challenge to try and make sure that I'm able to... Excuse me. It's sometimes a bit of a challenge to make sure that I'm actually...
This man understands that adversity and existence are one and the same.
I'm struggling to make sure that I can actually do these, do some of these games justice. So... Yeah, no worries, Sungif, and thank you again for that sub. Okay, so the Weald, we've got the 8-pounder, we've got the Inchoate Flesh, and we've got the Sodden Crew. What do I have available for the job? So my level 3 people are going to be too strong. I don't think I have any good healers at this level. This is the challenge. Okay, let's put... Oh, sorry. I said I was also going to let people become characters. So before we go out on the next one, I'll let you know what people are available. So I believe it was Kaya LB who wanted to... who wanted a character. Although anyone else, even if you don't chat a lot, I don't think El Dolby, I don't think I've seen you say anything except to put in the bits. So thank you for that. But yeah, if you want to be a character, even if you don't normally participate in chat, we have got, okay, Garani, the Shield Breaker is available. Perivil, the Hellion. Malabis, the Leper. Danvers, the Antiquarian. Kanagiris, the Bounty Hunter. Gand, the other Shield Breaker, and Dufour, the Crusader. Some of these level 0 ones I might switch in and out, so if that happens, I will replace the name with your permission. But yeah, if any of those characters... You'll take a Leper? Sounds good. While I'm adjusting the name, so here's the color that we've got for the outfit. So right now we've got number 3 up. This is number 4. Number 1. Number 2, and back to number 3. If you have a preference for a color, feel free to say it out. Oh, I'm sorry, El Dolby, but yeah, I'll happily put you up as a Crusader. If I wind up switching out the Crusader, I might have to put your name on a comparable role. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be switching out Crusader. I figure it's always nice to have some reserve Crusaders in case the matter comes up. So fine as it is. All right, sounds good. And we will now replace... I don't think I have any other higher level Crusaders. No, I don't. So we will put you in as... And your color options, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and we're back to number 1. If you have a preference, let me know, and apparently I did not register the hero name, so... Number 3. Alright. So, I actually don't remember any of these bosses anymore. Metagaming TV, you'll take one if you have one. Name it Scream. Sure. If you want to be in the party that's coming up, the shield breaker is available. I can call them Scream. If you would like, you can also be an antiquarian, a bounty hunter. Well, basically an antiquarian or a bounty hunter further. So. Yeah, I feel like you've mentioned that before, Sungeef, but it feels painful to read it. I'm really sorry to hear that. Okay, I actually kind of like the idea of a shield breaker named Scream. If you would like a particular color, we've got number 1 here, number 2, number 3, and number 4 was the original. But if you have a particular preference, just let me know. I'm going to take a quick minute and just see everybody's equipment. Okay, I'm reasonably happy with that setup. Black. All right, that's number 3. And before we go on the expedition, I'm going to make sure that we've got everybody equipped. Hang on. Did it not keep my line up? I'm going to be very sad if that's the case. Oh no, they're still there. Ah, I was in the wrong order. Okay, so basically I just want to make sure everybody's got their skills. They should, but okay, looks like... So I am a little thin on healing on this, unfortunately. Ooh, and I'm also short on money. Okay, can't do anything about that. And my big dilemma right now, there are definitely people who I would like to heal with the stress, but the problem is that Johnny Big Time's in here and might give people the Crimson Curse. Okay. Let's see whether or not I can handle the sodden crew with this party. And we don't have anybody with the Crimson Curse, so...
Prying eyes had become a nuisance along the old road, and so I undertook to receive my most curious deliveries by way of marine shipments. A sheltered jetty was accessible by a narrow stone stair off the back of the manor, and a discreet system of pulleys could hoist even the heaviest prizes up the rock face from a securely tied dinghy below.
The poor devils, chained and drowning for eternity.
So the aim here is going to be to either identify... Cool Eagle, what are you doing to me? Oh, that's right, thank you. Looks like my team's not very good with traps either. So yeah, the name of the game on this one's going to be to try and identify... Well, presumably they're in this spot, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, basically identify where the bad guys are, or minimize the amount of damage that we take beforehand. I'm okay if we take a bunch of stress damage, because we can always heal after that later. But if we wind up in a situation where we run into the... I'm just bypassing. I'd love to do something about this, but we're going to focus on the prize. But yeah, basically... Yikes. Hey, Sean Bean, great to see you. You're gonna be one of my backup healers if it comes down to it. Okay. It's just for damage mitigation because I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything about this in the first round. You played this a bit when it came out in early access or such way back. You horrible sucked at it, looted everything, lost everyone. It's a really good. So I also played it in early access. I've never played it to completion, but it is a really, really good game. You know what? I should have taken out this guy first because I said I was trying to go for damage mitigation, not stress. So that's why we did the block. But yeah, it's the thing that's funny about this game is that so the individual combat, like the lifespan of your characters is really short. It's very likely that you are going to perish, or the characters are going to perish. But the thing that's really funny about this game is that you can actually, it is surprisingly forgiving. Unless you play in like the hard mode, it's actually hard to lose this game. It might even be impossible to lose this game. And so it's really weird that it's this, like, this game definitely has sort of an earned reputation for being punishing. But it's a punishing game with no way to actually lose it, which is a weird combination. Hey, Eagle Karen, good to see you as well. Oh yeah, I certainly don't think anybody's gonna try and say that it's a bad game, but it's definitely one. It's one that I encourage people, like, because I had that experience of, oh, it's been a while since I've played. I'm sure it can wait a while. It is a surprisingly good game. Drat. Oh, thank you very much for that host, Metagaming. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's one of these ones I always kind of take for granted. All right, I think I'm gonna be able to work with this. It's appreciated.
Dazed, reeling, about to break.
Attaboy Sharp, or Sean Bean.
A faint hope blossoms.
Okay, Serpent's Way will let me... so it isn't my favorite choice, but it worked.
Blood quickens.
So this guy's toast.
Executed with impunity.
But yeah, this is one of these games where I'm like, Darkest Dungeon, good game. And then I sit down and play it, and I'm like, Darkest Dungeon, this is a really good game. So it's one that I actually, one of my coworkers who doesn't do a ton of gaming, I wound up getting, maybe not getting them, but like I was talking a bit about it, and they were sufficiently interested to pick up the game. And well, this guy already got the disease, so. And yeah, like they were having a good time with it too. So it's always It's always darkest dungeon time, I think is what I'm trying to say. Alright. So, I mean, overall, we're halfway through the dungeon, and we're not, you know, we're not doing too badly as far as health is concerned. Obviously, it would have been nice to go for the, you know, the cocoon and whatnot, but I really don't want the possibility of spreading the plague even further. So unless things go, like, really bad, we should be able to... Well, I mean, I actually don't remember this boss this well, so it could be that the party composition is just completely wrong for this encounter, and that'll be another problem I need to deal with.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
But so far as, like, you know, approaching the boss... Oh, well, we might wind up with a plague anyway. Harvest instead.
Continue the onslaught.
So the reason I focus fired that guy was to deal with the healing. Okay, this guy's done.
Annihilated.
I can't target this guy though, so inspiring tune time.
Decimated. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Holy smokes! This game's not letting up with the cocoons.
Back to the pit.
So the reason for that distribution was precisely because the Jester was in the party. I'm not going to be able to kill the jellyfish on its own. Oh, okay, I can shut up now. I didn't think I was going to be able to kill the jellyfish
at least
on its own. But I was fairly certain I'd be able, with the Jester's focused shot, I'd sort of maximize the damage. So. I think we're going to use the same strategy as last time to bleed down the back row. That actually wound up working a little better than I thought it would. Especially because this guy can deliver heals, so...
A powerful blow.
Okay, they're done. So Sean Bean's going to focus on the shaman. Aw, oh, damn it! Well, that would have been enough to take out the cultist. So now I can bleed down the front row. Actually, this is almost exactly like the last time we fought this. Well, a similar crew. Okay. They're definitely dead, so let's focus instead on... So I'm going for the Blight here because they've got reasonably high protection. question is whether or not I want to heal this guy or go for the Pelagic Guardian. In this case, I actually think taking out the source of damage is smarter, even though that character will do less damage because of the protection. Now that we know we're sort of at the end of this, though, I'm going to use Sean Bean to heal up the Flagellant if it comes to it. Turns out we don't get the opportunity. So the Flagellant's at a bit lower health than I would normally want them to be at for a boss fight. We always have our camp as an outside option.
Eradicated.
God, that's a good. I have this option. Thing is, this guy becomes stronger when he's at low health, so I'm not too panicked about what might come up. I guess it's not the most efficient use of my damage, but so we'll see if we can get a cheeky heal in before we finish the round. Oops. Well.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Well, I know everybody gets mad at me when I do this, but yes, I'm taking the journal page. Journal of Darius Highwayman, 3 of 6. Day 6, as we traveled from the hamlet, an eerie dread grew. We all felt it, but did our best to shrug it off. Sleep was difficult until Raven, one of my companions, passed me a bitter concoction. The most devout of us, Therion, prayed softly for our safety, superstitious but well-intentioned, I suppose. I am already falling asleep. Is there a way I can turn any of this into cash? Just trying to think in terms of camping. I'm gonna close this because this 2 food might make the difference when we get to camp.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
I think this is a good use of the mitigation. It's mostly just because we got a couple of people who inflict bleed. So again, I'm kind of prioritizing the cultist here because they can also affect my torch in addition to the stress.
Such a terrible assault
Oh,
cannot
looks
be
like we
left
got bleed
unanswered.
anyway. Good to know for next time. So again, this is because I know that the Jester's going to be... Oh, you know what? I messed that up. Because Sharp can't... Yeah. Oh, well. I think they'll die to the bleed anyway. I probably should have used Sharp for a heal. What game is this? Kicknick, this is a game from it's a company called Red Hook Studios.
A trifling
It's
victory,
called The Darkest Dungeon.
but a victory
It's
nonetheless.
it's actually quite similar to XCOM in some respects. The premise of the game is basically that you... Okay, so as far as the story is concerned, let's maybe start with that. You are you receive a letter from your ancestor that they basically spent sort of the family fortune on this rumor that there was a sort of this great power hiding beneath the family manor, and essentially in trying to uncover that secret, it opened a portal to just terrible, just it's very Lovecraftian. You find that which man was not meant to know, essentially down there, and you're essentially tasked with restoring the manor and defeating you know, what lies in the darkest dungeon. Now, there's kind of two halves to this game. Again, it's very XCOM-ish in this sense, in that you've got the management part where you are kind of doing the upkeep of the hamlet, and sort of leveling up buildings, training your crew and whatnot. But then you will send your party down into the dungeon, and this is the part of the game we're playing right now. This is sort of the heart of it, right? Just like with XCOM, the tactical part of the game is sort of the heart of it, and then the management is another layer. But what makes this game really unique, other than the very good voice acting by a man named Wayne June, is that it's not just a dungeon crawler. The stress level of your party is a major factor of the game. There's actually a very interesting little idea inside of this, which is at the end of every adventure, your health is restored to 100%, but your stress remains. And so the idea here that the psychological toll of going into dungeons and facing these things is much more permanent, and the flesh is very expendable. And in this game, it's pretty brutal in terms of the combat. So you will lose characters, and it's not actually that hard to lose them. I've been fairly lucky this run. But there's always going to be new recruits that are able to come in. So the real big thing about this game is the fact that your characters do start developing certain psychological quirks through adventuring. Oh, I almost forgot. If I go with a campfire, there's going to be consequences with this character. But yeah, it's cool. There's a few reasons why I like it. The founders of Red Hook Studios that made the game. Red Hook is the two people who founded it are called Tyler Sigmund and Chris Barassa. I believe they both worked on the DS version of Age of Empires 2, among other titles. But it's a company that was founded in Vancouver, where I'm originally from. There's actually a lot of really good game developers there. Another one that you may not be aware of is Brace Yourself Studios, who did Crypt of the Necrodancer and are currently coming out with Industries of Titan. And Power Up Audio is located there. They did the audio for this and Celeste and basically every good indie game that ever came out. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, Necrodancer, I'm pretty sure was one of theirs. Sword of the Stars, The Pit. Anyways, a lot of very well-known titles from that group. But yeah, Darkest Dungeon is it's a Lovecraftian psychological dungeon crawler is the best that I can say. Hey, treasures that I can't take.
Laden with loot are often low on supplies.
The pit, not
Handsome reward
not the
for a task well performed.
not the strategy one. I think we can get by. Well, I'm gonna do the Serpent's Way anyway.
Obliterated.
So hopefully this guy will bleed out. Not exactly the character I want to have that happen to, but he'll be able to take his revenge if it comes down to it. Oh! I probably didn't want that to happen.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
So the drawback here is I kind of want to be able to heal this guy. But so we'll see what happens after the room battle with treasure. I might be willing to let the well, basically let Ego
In Radiance, may we find victory.
Ego go in with less health. That's the. I just linked that the game I was referring to in chat. Okay. Nice. I didn't think I'd be able to get away with that, to be honest. So problem is that I've got 3 rounds of reduced healing. I can live with that. Okay, so I think Sean Bean's gonna go on healing duty. How were we? 10 damage per round?
Well struck.
So Jester can't do much about this right now. Oh, they can.
The ground
Hopefully
quakes.
Sharp's going to be able to do a heal. They can.
Soothed. Sedated.
So we're actually ahead.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
I'm actually going to get rid of the torches at this point. Although I probably should have ditched the shovels and the shovels and the firewood at this point too. Oh well. I misjudged. We're actually in dim light, but that's life.
Even in death, the captain shouts his orders, and the crew obeys.
Okay, let's think about how we're going to handle this. Good start. I think we're just going to do as much damage as we can while we have... Oh, I have a little bit of tempo, so I will give other people buffs. And at this point, otherwise I'm just going to do as much damage as I can to the primary target.
Impressive.
Yes, correct. Although I believe those old games were, I believe the strategy games were published by Paradox. Okay, that's gonna make things complicated.
A devastating blow.
I think we're at a point where we can actually afford not to care too much about what these guys do. Apparently the shield breaker is just the hard counter to the sodden food.
They are cursed
cursed to float forever, deep in the swirling blackness, far beyond the light's reach.
Okay, cool. We'll at least get some goodies for our troubles. That was not too harmful at all. If anything, I was a little too conservative and we could have walked away with more loot. Alright, so we've got some disease to deal with. Ego Karen has become a daredevil, 15 dodge if HP is below 25. That's actually a really good ability for the flagellant to have. Bad humors for Scream, and they also have a disease. Oh no, that's going to be the disease. And then Cool Eagle has become an Eldritch Slayer, 10 accuracy and 5 crit, and that's replaced Ruin Scrounger. Yeah, I was surprised at how well that went.
There is a great horror beneath the manor. A crawling chaos that must be destroyed.
Alright, so Johnny Big Time is engaged in pleasures of the flesh and has recovered 81 stress, is no longer selfish. Ed Baver could not achieve the meditative state and has become frustrated. They now have unquiet mind, but apparently they lost 70 stress during that experience. Captain Zerge is no longer masochistic. Dismas underwent effective disease treatment and has cured the fits, and Casual Nothing is thirsting for blood. So, first things first, we're going to cure some disease. Let's figure out where everybody's at stress-wise. Craving. Wasting. Craving. Okay, so got a lot of people who want blood. I thought it just meant that you were the opposite of the ice cream company. Okay. Decision time. Okay, first up. Oh, wrong one. I can do armor smithing, so people will be slightly better. So theoretically, if I wanted to go for the Baron, definitely Ed Baver makes sense. Johnny would be... Actually, this is a pretty decent team, so let's make sure they're kitted out. And then while I can, I'm also, because there are not going to be people with the Red Plague in, or the Crimson Curse rather, in any of these other areas, I think we'll, I guess I don't really need to worry about these others. I mean, 2 stress is not that big of a deal. There you go. Wobin, what happens is whenever the game goes, I think this might be because of the new monitor, but basically whenever the game transitions between the 2 screens, it winds up putting it in the bottom left-hand corner. And I notice I'm pretty good at remembering to do it when I actually do the dungeon crawl bit, and I always forget to do it when I go to the sorry, words are failing me because it's late. I always forget to do it when I... Ryushi, thank you very much for that follow. It is, well, I mean, so... Basically, I'm now playing this at my monitor's resolution, which is 1440. It used to be the case that I would play these games in windowed mode because I had a 16:10 aspect ratio monitor. This is the only game that does that, but when I take a screenshot, it resets the screen to what it should be. It's only for this game that it does it. But yeah, it's weird. Venturing into the courtyard will consume 1 invitation. Well, I certainly seem to have a few of those, so... I'll bring 4. I probably should bring more, but... Oop. I think I'm also going to bring a couple bandages just in case.
They would arrive in teeming hordes, adorned in powdered wigs and pretension, seeking to slake their thirst on wine and indecency. As intoxication invariably took hold, innocuous frivolities would escalate to ever more disturbing diversions. Orchestrating the hideous affair was a hunchbacked fiend who seemed to delight in proportion to the suffering he caused. I could have stopped him, I suppose, but I was a slave to my own appetites, and restraint would have rendered me a hypocrite. What games does this diminutive fool play at now?
This quest is... You are not expected to finish epic quests in one attempt. You may regroup, abandon the quest at any time, and your progress is saved. When you obtain another invitation, you may continue the quest where you left off. Well then! Apparently, I do not need torches. Jesus Christ, what are you doing, Ed Baver? No, this is from the Crimson Court DLC.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
I'm pretty sure this guy's done. No, it's only 1 damage, so...
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Lord follow! Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. Curious is the trap-maker's art. His efficacy unwitnessed by his own eyes.
That screws it up. I was planning on doing a zealous accusation to take out the sycophant. In this case, will hounds rush? Ooh, yikes. So they're healed. You can't use torches because they don't do anything. I'm assuming you can use them. I just don't think they have any effect. We'll give it a try.
Press this advantage. Give them no quarter.
Cursed or buffed?
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
This is mostly just to see if I can try and get a little extra healing in. Okay, paid off, and we know they're going to bleed out, so self-heal. Pet the Doge. It would have been nice if I could have got the Crusader to self-heal as well,
But a victory nonetheless.
Oh, cool, so torches give you accuracy. Corpse Eaters frighten me.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
The only thing that would make me like the Houndmaster more is if it was a Dachshund. So good news here is I can just use Judgment. Because it's the self-heal. Not quite enough to seal the deal, unfortunately. Nice work there, Captain Zergy. Alright. In this case, Hound's Harry makes a little more sense. I also get to, it lets me inflict the bleed in addition to finishing off the other guy. This is just because I may not get the chance to heal him otherwise. And because we know this dies buff.
A death by inches. Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
It's kind of fun to experiment with the curios. I wish I did that more often. Okay, so everybody's coming down off the high. I probably set myself up for disappointment because they're going to use the... Oh no, they're using Maddening Wine. I am going to do a Judgment anyway, just because I don't like the fact that they can heal. But I'll probably pay with stress. Yeah, Devin Richard, it's the first time I've ever done... I've done one Crimson Court mission before.
This
but it's the first time I've ever encountered anything like this. It's definitely it's really fun to sort of be kept on my toes like this. I think probably focusing someone is the better call. So. That's enough to finish him off. Again, this is more just a chance to try and buy me some time.
The weapon that cuts on its own.
But looks like Dismas is able to finish the job.
Masterfully executed.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
Alright, I need to make some decisions in terms of what I want to keep, because this could be a nice chance for me to get some goodies. I don't really need the disease charm. And against my better judgment, I'm going to ditch the holy water, though generally when vampires are involved, you keep that around. What does that blood do that you use? So basically, when a character is affected by the Crimson Curse, they'll have a few different levels. So right now they're in Bloodlust. But some of these characters were, like, previously, some of these characters are previously at Wasting, so they have different sort of, there's different ways that they get affected by the Crimson Curse, and basically using the blood will bring them up to a new level of the curse. I just played this mission earlier today for the first time, just started playing the game again too. Well, it's always a good time. I mean, obviously number 2 is on its way now, so I suppose it's more of a reason than ever to be playing it. But yeah, it's a game that really always, in my opinion at least, has always rewarded me for coming back to it. I do hope this time, like on stream, I will be finishing the game properly. Mysterious figure, not fully human, not fully instinct, kneels here on the ground. So oh, that would have been nice to take, but I do now have a leper in the party, so I don't think, honestly, I don't think that trade-off was worth it. Oh, sorry, Ed Baver. So you can come back to the mission for sure if you drop. If you drop items, they're gone forever. The game forces you to make a choice about what you keep. So, I was originally going to try this one because it's shorter, but I'm kind of curious what's down this hall, so I think we'll pass this one over for now, in the interest of making more progress. So, it turns out that the shovels were a good idea. Oh sure, but then I'll be paying an invitation each time, and I don't know if it affects my stress levels to abandon this particular mission, so.
The wound war can be healed, but never hidden.
Thing is, like, I never get too worried about, like, leaving stuff in other dungeons, so I don't really feel like I need to worry about it in this one.
Unforeseen.
I might be wrong in thinking that, but it's just one of these things where, you know, as long as I walk away with a, you know, a decent enough haul, I'm not gonna feel too let down.
A momentary abatement.
Sorry guys, just 1 second. Just had a message I need to respond to. Okay. Again, mostly I take those guys out because of the stress damage. I do need to focus these guys down before I consider using the dog for healing, so...
Precision and power.
You know what? I don't like my options right now, so I'm just gonna heal.
Slowly.
It's because I knew that thing was gonna die anyway, so it's not that great of a choice for the Crusader just to do damage to a target that is gonna die anyway. The fact that that guy was going to bleed out meant that they don't leave a corpse, which now means that the Crusader is able to do damage to them. So in this case, the heal is the preferable use, just because it gets me something for the next fight. Or potentially this fight. I mean, it's not over yet, so... I'll heal Johnny. Johnny will do more damage than the Judgment will, so... Theoretically, at least. You never know when you get a crit. This character's, again, they're gonna die next turn no matter what, so we take the opportunity to heal where we can.
But never hidden.
Ah, that's unexpected. So... now I don't really have any good options here. I guess the best I can do is switch the positions a bit. And again, the idea is just let everybody do their heals while I wait for this guy to bleed out.
Of battle. A momentary abatement.
Hey, we got blood.
This expedition at least promises success.
I think at this point I'll ditch some torches because there's really no reason for me to keep that many. I'll flip it out for the anti-venom. I'd kind of like to get some money, but we'll see how it goes. This is gonna be a struggle. I think in this case we're just gonna do the table saw. We'll take care of the first, then the second. I don't know if there's any other better way for me to handle this. I don't like wasting moves if I can, but
The horror.
I clearly need to get people in position to make the most of my situations.
The bigger
Oh,
the
that's a
beast,
corpse I'm gonna have to deal with
the
now.
greater the glory.
Okay. So, fortunately, I have a pistol. Obviously, my front row is the priority for healing, but eventually the judgment will heal the back row. We're definitely going to get like a truckload of stress out of all of this because of the horror, and these guys are already pretty close. So not a lot I can do. I mean, I can try and hack down the... I can try and hack down the corpse, but in this case I actually think trying to heal up my guys makes a little bit of sense. So the idea here is I'm going to use Judgment to heal my Vestal, and then Dismas will be the one doing the primary damage until the corpse gets hit. Although it looks like the corpse isn't bleeding anymore, so I may need to change that plan. Jesus. That's 18 more stress. Okay. Didn't want to have to do that, but circumstances changed. Nice. I probably should have healed Zerge, to be completely honest. What's he looking at for health? He's got 5, so in this case...
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
I'm okay with like one character being a bit lower on health, because obviously the Vestal's going to go healing as soon as they can. We're definitely going to be behind the 8-ball. Menacing mists rise eerily from the marsh, eager to confuse hapless travelers. Secrets. There's a locked room. Well, obviously I gotta try the new stuff, even if it ends in my... Please, good heroes, release me from these chafing shackles. I owe you a debt of gratitude for your kindness. Achievement unlocked. Jailbreak. Neat. So yeah, I gotta try the locked room first. Obviously it'll be neat to see the other stuff, but it doesn't necessarily seem to get me any kind of advantage, so... we already have an abomination, but... yeah, exactly, Isaacson. So I'm assuming there's gonna be some mod... Interesting. No effect. Ooh. I'm going to assume the doggy treat is not the secret answer, so we do need to... Johnny's back to craving. I guess I should have waited for wasting. Well, that's the real question. Whether it's a key that's like one of the standard that you can get in the game, or if there's a special key to make progress. I'm gonna head to the enemies first, just because that seems to be the most logical. So I think probably my upper bound on progress...
Gasping, taken over the edge into madness.
I think my upper bound on progress is going to be whether or not how close Zerge is to a heart attack. I don't know, Ego Akaran. I'm assuming everything just kind of plays out the way that it normally would. Like, I don't think there's any special
Compassion is a rarity in the
special
fever
rules for those
pitch of
cases, but
battle.
I don't know for sure, to be honest. So I didn't really want to waste 3 attacks on that one unit, but Hound's... The Hound is not the worst... that's not the worst attack that I can be doing in this position, so... Okay, so... I don't know, I kind of leave these guys for the end, no matter what. We'll see if we can maybe get some healing in, but obviously I need to be considering a graceful exit at some point. All right, well, so much for that. So obviously now we stack the bleed on the back row because this guy's gonna die. I'm tempted to try and stun the guy. Nope, well, no need for healing delays. This is definitely working in my favor. Three per round. I might pet the dog. Yeah, he's dead, so...
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Sen approves? Yeah, there's definitely some upper bounds in terms of our access. We already gave up the shovels, so we can't go any further here. We can go south. And these empty rooms don't actually seem to be accomplishing much for us. I'm tempted to take out the Chevalier first. Ooh, that's a bit of misfortune. I think it was a mistake to try and spread out the damage. crits for days. Alright. I'm committed on the bleed stacking, but... I know what I'm doing with the Crusader, though. Have you read my blog?
Grievous injury. Palpable fear.
Everybody's craving again. Not desperate enough to make him do a dog pet.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of
Obviously,
the
I
light?
need to try the key. But I am leaving the dog treats. I'm also mildly curious if these empty rooms do anything. If they don't, I'll just know better for next time, but it's, alright then. I can only feed the treat to the dog when I'm in combat. I want to try and go as far as I could in this one, but the fact that I've got 2 people craving now, my Crusader is going to be on death's door, and if the combat really turns against them, yeah, like I've got all of the well, I mean, I was already doing that at Baver, but like the thing is that it's not just, I'm not just like doing this stuff at random, right? Like there's a specific reason why it's a fairly meaningful choice to say, okay, I don't know if the key is going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. Because notice what happened, like we didn't run into any kind of combat here. We went like down the halls, and over the course of doing the halls, I'm now at 1 out of 38 on my Crusader. I've got 2 people who are craving, and Johnny's now down to wasting. So the time that you spend moving between rooms is not costless. Now as it happens, like, the fact that I was sort of considering an exit strategy anyway indicated to me I really want to test to see what will open the gate. But if my party wasn't in the state that it is in right now, it would have actually been better for me to do a little bit more exploration. But as it is, like, these empty rooms don't seem to be gaining a lot for me. I can't go past the obstacle here, and so in the end my choices were to go to a fight and potentially a room that doesn't give me that much, and then of course to try these other things along here. I agree completely, Sin. Yep, item had no effect, so... It may be that what I need is in one of these cocoons as well. Alright, so obviously the Crusader can't be the one to touch the pile. Yeah, it's something else. Sorry, guys. Another, sometimes you hear the Discord messages, sometimes you don't, so... okay. I don't think about the best way to keep my Crusader alive. There could be no bravery without madness!
Devastating blow.
The best outcome for me is if I can find out about opening that door by the end of this run. I'm not going to complain about what I'm walking away with, but if I can get it, if I can get to a point that I know what progress looks like in this level, it'll be a good run. Hey, Joshy man. So one good hound attack, and we should be able to move on position 2. Just shy of what I needed. Oh, never mind. I forgot about the bleed. So I gotta heal up Dismas next, because he's got some pretty heavy bleed. I'm still gonna go on a focus rather than a grape shot. But the Hound's Harry should be able to deal with. Yep. I'm gonna try stunning this guy next so that we can heal up. Well, it won't. Yeah, stun will be enough to take him over the edge. So. Oh, that's the worst possible outcome, because he's gonna get...
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Well, he's gonna be just shy of... Yeah, we'll leave it be for now, but I'm gonna need to make some choices. I'm doing alright, Joshy man. We're probably gonna be wrapping up relatively soon, so I have to apologize for what will be a shorter run. But I'm experiencing some new content in the Darkest Dungeon.
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Okay. So... went to an MTG pre-release. You know, I like Magic. I played it a little bit, but I didn't like really get into it, so I've never really had the opportunity of participating in kind of community events like that. What is entailed in a pre-release? Is it just kind of like a, you know, like when a game comes out and you stay at the store at midnight and it's... Well, I mean, like, MTG is a game, but like, is it a little bit like that where everybody's just sort of excited about the new thing coming out, or is it a more of like an organized event, kind of like a tournament? I think so this just says to me there's a straight up battle. I think the Curio will potentially give me more goodies. This is going to be a dicey fight, but I think we can manage it. Oh, neat. I like that idea a lot, actually, because obviously...
Knowing uncertainty.
It's people's sort of fresh experience with the new direction that something's going in. And so you don't... like... I played Dota for a while, and I had a good enough time with it. Like, I put a lot of time into Dota, But one thing that, as much as I enjoy kind of like reading into a meta and whatnot, I always really dislike this idea that people would tell each other the right way to play the game.
Compassion is a rarity in the fevered.
And I always really enjoyed the process of trying to find an original way, or at the very least, a way that worked for me to play a given hero. And of course, the drawback is that the more established any given metagame becomes, the more likely it is that you will encounter players who specifically dislike the fact that you're not playing with, what they consider to be the authentic experience or way of doing it. So events like that, where people are just coming to terms with this new artifact in front of them, I think really encourages more original thinking, and should probably go to more stuff like that, actually.
Foolish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Craving. I'll regret doing this, but we'll give ourselves a little buff. Yeah, I mean, not terrible, but I mean, it could be that I have to unlock it from the other side. That would be sort of dumb, but also mildly hilarious. It's also possible that... Cool. It's also possible that the key is in one of the cocoons. Okay, I'm gonna do Judgment just because the Vestal needs healing as well. Hey, Penology, how you doing?
Blood pumps, the limbs obey.
I think I need something a little more focused for the guys with protection. I don't want to, but I probably should pet the dog. That was the right call.
Blow.
I don't think Johnny can heal in this range. Oh, he can. Okay. I might regret splitting this damage like this. Madness. Okay, I got kind of lucky there.
Teetering on the brink, facing the abyss.
Not quite what I wanted to do, but
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
I think... Nah, you know what? I'll take crests over the citrines. Oh, let's see what horrible things await us here. We may not get through that locked door anymore, so... Jesus Christ. Oh. We don't have shovels and we don't have the health to deal with that. I gotta be really careful with Captain Zergi. I think I am going to try the Curio, because I believe that's one of the cocoons, and we'll see if there's The
walls close in. The shadows whisper of conspiracy.
We'll see what we can get out of that, but I could also be just signing my party up for death. I just need a couple of bad initiatives. Initiative rolls, and Johnny is no more. Actually, I will slightly tip things to my advantage. I think more video games need a character screaming, "I judge thee mentally incompetent," when somebody fails. I think I can justify a judgment. So clearly I need to start getting some bleed on these folks, because I've got nothing right now. The back row is going to be the hardest to hit, because we've got a corpse. Oh, no, actually they're going to be position 2 now, so... I need to focus on healing up the highwaymen.
The ground quakes.
If I can get a little bit of bleed up, I'll consider getting Johnny to do some self-heals. Maybe a stun can help us. Okay, this'll buy me some time. Oh, it's still only 1 damage around though. Johnny! Pet your dog. Sorry to hear that, Sin. Alright, you're taking 4 damage around, you've got 4 HP, so...
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
The judgment actually makes the most sense here. Ah, he gets to heal. We're so close to taking him out. I am still gonna do open gate though. We really can't afford to stay here much longer. As soon as, like, if Captain Zerga gets a heart attack, he goes down to 1 health, and I can't afford to have the Crusader, even in, like, an off chance of dying like that. I wanted to be clever and try and get some more health. Okay, 2 people craving. Johnny will get the Bloodlust. And we already know the skeleton key doesn't do anything, so... I'm not sure I'm going to be able to survive 2 more battles, but I'll make that decision when I get there. I'm almost certainly going to regret this. We'll see where we're at when the battle comes up. Okay, this never goes well, but we should be able to get through it, but yikes. Yeah, the blood is going to be what keeps us from getting to the end. We've got 10 stress. There's just no way we're going to be able to make it to another fight.
Obliterated.
Johnny's gonna pet the dog.
Struck.
Well, I mean, we're just ready for another 10 rounds, aren't we? Okay, game over for him, so everybody heals up.
passion is a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle.
I wish I had a way of... Actually, I do.
Monstrous size has no intrinsic merit, unless inordinate exsanguination be considered a virtue.
Packs laden with loot are often short on supply. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but... Casual nothing has become abusive. Oh, Captain Zerge is gonna get a heart attack for sure at this rate.
100 cannons.
I'm going for it though. Oh, this is gonna be hard. Yeah, it takes one maddening wine to turn Captain Zerge into a heart attack.
Decimated.
Ooh, Johnny's testing us. Okay, so I'm gonna get him to attack the back row. He's unfortunately one of my ranged.
Eradicated.
I'd love to do a judgment, but Johnny needs the heals, so... I'm partially doing these heals also just in hopes of getting a crit so that his stress can go down.
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion.
At least Zerge's back in action. So if I can, I'll stun lock this guy. But I am going to focus on healing them. See, the thing is, if I'm going to abandon the mission, I only need to keep the party above 1 health. He's got 3 stress left. Okay, that's a lease on life. Not a great one, though. So, what I was running up against, the reason why I didn't want to use Johnny's heal is if that guy got a turn in, then that could potentially cause stress on Zerge, so... Oh, sorry, you thought I was gonna end? He's got 3 whole stress left. 2 whole stress left. And it's a dead end. Are you sure you want to retreat? The heroes will suffer the stress of defeat if Captain Zerge dies to this. Kyle B, thank you very much for the bits. You guys have been incredibly generous with the bits tonight. Are you alive or sane? You are both Metagaming TV. So I am rather disappointed that we did not get to figure out this locked room, but we will have other opportunities. At the very least, everybody has got their blood. So
Wounds to be tended, lessons to be learned.
if he dies, no, you have no one to blame but yourself. I kept the one stress available. I must remember for next time that I don't need to bring so many torches. Bad Gambler, Flawed Release, and Antsy.
Finally, the serum is working, and the side effects are manageable.
The time and gold were not spent in vain. However, as today, caregivers announced that they've successfully succeeded in concocting an effective antidote. Of course, I spent everybody already got their treatment and such, so Dismess had a night in the town, recover 67 stress. Okay, so obviously the crew, yeah. So basically, the people with the curse are going to, what's the safe word, Sin? They all have the Crimson Curse, so they're gonna take up all of these, rules. Now, right, there's no diseases though, so this bonus is meaningless. Oh, I was like, why do I have so little gold? It's probably just because I spent it all on, making my people less bonkers. Alright, I am... I would like to go longer, but I think this is a reasonable enough... Oh, cool. So, if I want, I can actually replace Mase Magoma.
It is done. Turn yourself now to the condition of those poor devils who remain.
Sorry, I did that wrong. Ah! Sorry. Okay, nobody tell him that we switched him around. On that note, though, I'm not so far away from the time that I normally take, and I think this is a reasonably good place to go. We didn't lose anybody, and we did level some people up, which is kind of cool. We did take down one boss in the Cove. Probably we will take care of the Warrens and the Weald bosses next. I do remember the 8-pounder reasonably well. I believe the trick behind this one is as long as you're able to keep the guy with like the torch from like lighting the cannon, you're generally safe. but it does generate a lot of enemies, so I'm going to need to make sure that I don't just have some back row attacks, but I have like strong back row attacks. Actually kind of have a feeling that the Shield Maiden would be a really good, or not, the Shield Breaker would be a really good one for that. I honestly don't remember this this fight at all. And I mean, there's the idea of trying to level up some of these level 3 folks, but at this point, I kind of need to figure out what's going on in the courtyard. It's going to be really interesting to see if I can figure out that locked door at some point. But I will say, so I'm not sure the Crimson Court does you a favor by saying that this is particularly difficult and it's not it's a, new players beware sort of thing. My view on the Crimson Court is that if you are familiar enough with the Darkest Dungeon itself that you don't get surprised. Okay, so like, sure, there's that moment when you put the torch into the thing and you wind up in another dimension. That is surprising because, oh, I didn't think I'd have a big fight like this. But it's not surprising as in, oh my god, help, I don't understand these mechanics. If you feel like you're generally confident in terms of your ability to get things done in the game, I would actually encourage you to turn on the Crimson Court and play around with it. Like, I haven't beaten the game. I'm not even remotely close to beating the game in my playthrough on my own time. But I did turn on the Crimson Court for this playthrough, and I've been having a really good time with it. And I would argue that any frustration that you might feel with the cocoons or with some of the other things that pop up, just the novelty of some of these new things that are introduced just rewards any potential frustration several times over. So if you've been on the fence about it, like, I was one of these people who owned the Crimson Court forever, and then like eventually I turned it on, and it's great. Like, I'm having such a good time with it, so I encourage you to do the same. I am done for tonight, so thank you very much for hanging out. I'm sorry it's I guess I'm like 20 minutes or so off of my... Oh god, okay. So there's two things I will recommend. I am going to host Kilgore Trout because he is playing Lands of Lore, and I was very trolly in his chat. So if you want, I will actually. So here's what I'm going to do before we host Kilgore Trout. I'm going to share with you an excerpt from how I behave inside of Kilgore's channel. So he's playing a game called Lands of Lore, Guardians of Destiny or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's by Westwood. Like, I seem to remember this is the sort of thing that I'm pretty sure that came out around the time like Command and Conquer came out. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's an older game for sure. And what was it? So I had to find... Oh yeah, here we go. So I naturally start off, winning friends and influencing people. And I say something to the effect of, it's like, what is it with all of these pixel art games? This game would have been so much better if they made it in the Unreal Engine. Of course, because it didn't exist at that time. The reason why I say stuff like this is I do tend to find that people... Oh yeah, here we go, System Jock. Speaking of dated, what's up with the pixel art style? They should have made this game in Unreal like Mass Effect. The reason why I always say stuff like this is that there's always one guaranteed reaction, which is people will always fall over themselves to correct you. And you can actually go, from that point, you can actually go to increasing layers of absurdity, and people will buy it hook, line, and sinker. So one person says, the 90s then. Unreal wasn't out yet. System Shock, the Unreal Engine didn't exist until a year later. So on and so forth. So then I'm, System Shock. So they used Unity instead? No, Unity didn't exist. And then, a few other comment. This game was released in 1997, System Shock. So then I say, oh, so like when Blade Runner came out, Blade Runner has to be the only good movie adaptation of a game. This did not go over well. Kilgore's channel is great, by the way. I like Kilgore a lot. I like, I really like hanging out with that. But like, when you get to the point when somebody is claiming that the Blade Runner video game is the best movie video, that the Blade Runner movie is the best adaptation from a video game, I do not know how you could possibly signpost that you're not being serious anymore. So yeah, I was definitely causing a little bit of trouble in Kilgore's channel, and in addition to the regular raid message, I will definitely say, if you want to refer to Blade Runner as the finest video game adaptation that exists, please don't make yourselves like complete pests. I've earned the right to do so. But if you do want to make a callback to that, I'm sure that will be reasonably taken in the spirit. And if you get banned, well, that's your problem, not mine. But on top of that, if Lands of Lore isn't your cup of tea, I do strongly recommend Kilgore Trout. He's a really nice guy, fellow Canadian, and a music teacher. Wonderful collection of movies as well. But there is a... I really like watching Riff Tracks. Riff Tracks is currently playing Firehead. The movie is terrible, but it actually has some of their better quips, particularly with regards to Christopher Plummer, who is acting among people who do not quite have his abilities. And the Riff Tracks people are very quick to point that out. So if you're looking for alternative entertainment, I'm actually probably going to watch a little bit of that while I'm in Kilgore's channel. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for putting up with me. I hope Darkest Dungeon was fun. No promises that it'll be a regular thing on Friday, because I want to get back to XCOM as well. I was debating on doing The Walking Dead Season 2 tonight as well. There's lots of stuff that I want to try, and I need to sort of find balance in my schedule again. But this was nice, and I know it's later than usual, so have a lovely evening, and please treat Kilgore well, but don't hesitate to be nice. Maybe I shouldn't be encouraging you to be mean inside of somebody else's channel, but if you get to mention the Blade Runner thing, it'll be kind of funny. Have a good night, guys. Thanks a lot.